Hello and welcome to Raising the Barr, the go-to podcast for business owners and entrepreneurs looking to elevate their marketing game. Today we are joined by a woman who is a trailblazer in the hair and beauty industry. She's originally from Manchester. She's been in Dubai for 7 years and she's building herself a little empire. Ladies and gentlemen, Sammy.
Hi.
Sammy, thank you for joining us today.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you on here. Great to have someone from Manchester on the show. It feels like being
Fellow
at home.
Mancunian.
Exactly. Well, I'm like an honorary Mancunian.
You're from the posh side.
Well, let's not be dropping me in it now. I'm a man of the people. So let's go right back to the beginning. What first got you into hairdressing?
To be honest, I knew I wanted to be a hairdresser since I was young. Since I was young in school. I'd always practice on my friends. I'd always be in my bedroom dyeing my own hair. My mum would be going mad, coming down with different colour hair every 2 minutes. I always knew that's what I wanted to do. So as soon as I could get a job in a salon, I got a Saturday job whilst I was still in school. And I was probably about 13, but I got fired at 15.
Solid start then.
Yeah. So
Can you tell us what you got fired for?
I got fired for going into work drunk on a Saturday morning, which every hairdresser kind of does do quite a lot. So
yeah,
it was a common sackable offence.
That is quite common in salons in the UK. But we'll see if we have to cut that one out or not. So you started off, you got into hairdressing very young age.
Very young, yeah.
Even if the first job didn't go well, you decided you liked it.
It went up from there, to be honest. It couldn't have gone anywhere. So we was on the rise after that. Then I went straight to college, which, to be fair, my mum and all my family, my brothers had been to uni, so they didn't want me to be a hairdresser. They was like, you know, you're really clever, you could do well, you could do so much better than hairdressing. We want you to go to sixth form. I was like, okay. So I went to sixth form for 3 months. I hated every minute of it. I was like, this is not for me. Dropped out. But back then, everybody had a really bad opinion on hairdressing. They thought it was like a rubbish career to go down. They thought you wouldn't make any money. It was kind of looked down on a lot back then. This was 18 years ago, 17 years ago. So it was always seen as you're not going to make any money, you're not going to do well. Hairdressing's not a good industry to get in. And obviously, because my brothers had been to uni, they wanted me to go to uni as well. But I obviously rebelled and went with what I actually wanted to do. And now they're so proud because obviously I've done really well for myself. So they're actually buzzing. I would say I'm doing better than my brothers now anyway.
And this is something you've been quite vocal about, isn't it, in the past?
Yeah.
Is that you want to change the perception of how hairdressers are viewed?
I feel really strongly about it because I got so much stick when I was younger about being a hairdresser, and it's annoying and it's frustrating because when you want to do something and people are constantly telling you that you're not going to do well or you're not going to succeed and it's not a great industry, you have to really force yourself against what people are saying. And now when I see younger people that was in my shoes, I want them to almost know that it is a successful industry. So I'm quite passionate about it. I shout about it a lot, share it all over my Instagram, because I think people need to know that you can do very well in it and it's not just a career for dumb people, like what people used to say.
So I think the industry's changed so much, hasn't it? Because back 20 years ago, it was kind of a lot of the hairdressers were not doing particularly well. They were renting chairs or on small wages. It was a kind of a job where, someone's mum might be doing it part-time.
In the kitchen.
If you look, exactly, but you look at it now, some of these girls with salons, they're earning more money than lawyers.
Yeah.
They're earning more money than doctors. It's almost turned completely U-turned into a cool, happening industry.
Yeah.
Where do you think that change has come from and when it came about?
I think it's more so probably come around more when we've had social media and stuff introduced, because I think salons back then was only really known for word of mouth or location. And now obviously with social media, you've got whole online side of everything. You've got people traveling, you've got trends coming out more often. It's just got bigger, I think, through when social media came about.
Yeah. And it blows my mind with, I guess, female hair salons. Just the distances people will travel.
I know.
You get people going from London to Manchester.
Yeah.
Women are very, very, they're more attached to their hairdresser than they are their partner, aren't they?
I have people flying in from Kazakhstan, Saudi, just to get their hair done. People will travel if you're good, for sure.
Yeah, they come about. And you mentioned the social media there. Obviously, when you first started out, I think we're still on Facebook back then, weren't
Yeah.
we? maybe we're on MySpace.
Fucking everyone.
Yeah. But obviously that was kind of, we're similar age. That was before the Instagram days, before all that. Just how much has social media changed the industry and changed what's possible for hairdressers?
Social media is massive for hairdressers. I mean, I would honestly say, hand on my heart, I wouldn't be where I am now without social media, for sure. Because social media has got me an educator role. It's helped me build an online business. It's put my portfolio out there. I think people really need to understand the importance of putting yourself out on social media. Certainly if you want to grow. And it's almost like your CV as a hairdresser, because other people will just be watching without you knowing that they're watching. So if you're sharing your work and, sharing how good you are and what you're passionate about, they'll see you and they'll listen to you, and it just gets yourself out there so much more.
And for girls starting out, how much of your business, obviously looking at the hairdressing part before we move on to training, how much of your actual business comes through social media? Is it literally girls going, love that, I'm coming in?
I'd say 90% of my clientele came through social media. I mean, word of mouth, obviously, and recommendations, but people, if you say, oh, she does my hair, the first thing they'll do is, oh, let me see your Instagram. That's why you need to make sure that your Instagram's on point, because people will look at that first and they'll be like, oh yeah, she looks great, I'll go see her. So all of your clientele is coming through social media. And it's like people need to look at it like your shop window. Like whatever you would put in your shop window back in the day, that's what your social media needs to be like.
And how do you mix up your social media? Because I think it's a really interesting part of social media marketing, which is you see on some like girls' Instagrams and stuff, it's all just pictures of balayage melts and the back of girls' heads and stuff.
Yeah.
I think people get turned off a bit by that.
Yeah.
How do you balance up the stuff between this is my work, this is me, this is the brand?
To be honest, I'm quite like OCD with my social media. So I schedule things out throughout the week of what I need to be posting. So I'll need to post for the brand I work for. I need to post value for my clients. I need to post educational stuff. Then I post a bit of personality. So I actually have like a schedule for my social media just because I'm a bit OCD with it. So I don't want to one day just be like, oh, I need to post this. Quick shit, I'll just post this and then it looks terrible. I actually think it out and have a bit of a strategy.
I like
Having
that.
a strategy is key, yeah.
Exactly, consistency.
Yeah,
with social media,
strategy.
It's all consistency. If you keep posting similar time, similar content, the algorithm all works it out, and we're all just a whore to the algorithm in this place.
Literally. But everybody says to me, like, when I'm trying to get people to be a bit bigger on social media and post more consistently, they're like, I don't have time. But you sit on social media when you get home from work for, an hour? You've not got 5 minutes to put a post out to make your business better. It don't make any sense to me.
And when you say that, you try and push people and they're nervous about pushing out social media, I think often people say they don't have the time. I think there's also a real fear for people, which, like you said, you're putting yourself in the shop window, which is great for business. You're also putting yourself out in the shop window for hate, negative comments.
Oh, I get trolled now.
Okay, we got to dig into this then.
I get fully trolled. I've never been trolled before. But like now, trolling is like a thing. I was thinking, wow, maybe I've made it now. I'm getting trolled.
Yeah. When you're getting trolled, are these public accounts or private accounts, or how does it work? Or just Karens?
I don't know. I mean, not great hairdressers, that's for sure. Because I'll go and have a look and I'll be like, how's he trolling me? Like, look at his work, please.
Do you get men trolling you as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it's mainly other hairdressers and they're like, that's not right, this isn't right. Or you'll get other people that are kind of like competition trolling you. Yeah. So like someone else who's training or educating, they'll be like, you shouldn't be teaching it like that, or that's not the right way. And it's like, well, that's your opinion.
So there's obviously these great benefits to you being out there on social media. It's growing your business. How do you, because I think this is a really important lesson for girls watching, not just girls, guys in general, but I know girls suffer with it more. Girls who really are desperate to do well in life, they're putting themselves out there, they're pushing their business on social media, and they're sitting there at night disheartened because Sheila from Sheffield's just called them out on it. How do you deal with that? Does it affect you?
I think you just have to just rise above it and just be like, so what? Do you know what I mean? Like, she's not sat in my chair paying for my bills. Like, who cares what she thinks? Just have to kind of just not let people get to you. Like, if somebody said something to you in your street, you just walk off and be like, right, okay. You have to have a bit of thick skin if you're going to put yourself personally out there. If you put your work out there, it's rare that someone will go, that's terrible. I mean, if they did, that's very brutal. I think it's more so I think people troll you when you've got a bigger following because they think you don't see it.
Yeah.
But you do see it.
No, it's like Jay Rutland's brilliant on that. You know, Tamara Eccleston's husband. Jay is literally like, he will pick a troll out. And obviously, they're not short on money, but he'll go and find out everything about that person, their husband,
really,
and just put it all online. And he's like, you don't like being trolled now. So
that's great.
You built this fantastic business for yourself. You've got a full book of clients. You're doing well in the hairdressing game. You then moved into education as well.
Yeah.
Did you think you'd reached a limit in hairdressing? Did you think you needed an extra additional earning, or was it just a natural evolution?
It was kind of a bit of all of the above, because when you obviously get to a point where you can no longer take clients on as a hairdresser, then that's your peak earning. Yeah. So you unless you work 7 days a week, that's the only way that you can increase your income. And I kind of thought, well, what can I do to work the same amount of time, but push my income a little bit further and do something that I'm passionate about? Because you obviously get to a certain point in your career where then you are able to help other people. And I think when I started teaching, I did my first class, I realised how passionate I was about it. I actually cried straight after it, just burst into tears, because I was like, I've actually taught someone something and now they're going to go and do so well. It was like, I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm meant to do. And then from then, I just like ran with it, because I was like, I'm enjoying this so much. I'm helping people. And then I just started making more and more courses, teaching more and more people.
Okay, amazing. And when you started out, your courses were all in-person courses?
Yeah.
Okay, so all in person. The courses were in hair extensions?
Yeah, hair extensions.
And you were obviously scouted to be a brand partner for Beauty Works.
Yeah, so that was also linked with social media, because I have stuck with the same brand from the beginning of my extension career all the way through till now, obviously. And I'd consistently post about them, use them, wear them, use their tools. Like, if anybody is wanting to get recognised by a certain brand, just focus on that one brand and really just love it, share it, wear it, talk about it, and they'll soon recognise you, because they do watch what people tag. Yeah. So definitely do that if you want to start working with a brand. But when I got scouted through Beauty Works, that was through social media as well. And then they gave me the opportunity to educate for the whole of the Middle East. So we cover this whole region now.
It's unbelievable, that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So when you first started out doing the courses, how different was the education you're giving people compared to what you'd received, say, 10 years earlier when you started out?
Oh, God. I mean, so different. Yeah. So different. We go through everything with a fine pintail comb, like, literally. I don't really remember my training that much, but I only learned one method. Then it was a couple of years I learned another method, whereas now we kind of try to encourage people to learn all methods and have the knowledge on all of the extension methods, because it just boosts your business so much more.
You say it just gives them more earning potential?
Yeah, more earning potential, going to reach more clients, more knowledgeable. Like, if someone walks in your door with a method that you don't do, you're going to have to turn them away. And then that just makes you not look professional.
So was it, when you started the education, obviously, you realised my book's full, I want to start teaching other people as well. Where was that gap in the market in terms of how people were training at the time and what you could do?
I mean, in the UK, the training is quite saturated. A lot of people do train extensions in the UK. But in the Middle East, there isn't really many. In fact, I don't really know anyone decent that's training out here. And we was kind of thinking, there's so much influx of hairdressers now coming out here from the UK, from Europe. People need to be trained up because the standard is so much higher here. And extensions is a massive, like, what do you call it? Business here. It's a massive thing over here. People are very glamorous, they're vain, they want to look the best. Like, 90% of my clients have extensions. So if you're not doing extensions as a hairdresser, you're missing out on a lot of income. And
is that a lot of your business now, is people coming to you who are already hairdressers who just want to upskill in extensions as well?
Yeah, because I think, because out here there's not really been that training or academy or anything like that. So we thought, right, we need an academy. We need to make sure people are taught to a certain standard. So we help, obviously, everyone else learn the skill to a good standard, and then they're flying. Yeah. Everyone that we've taught is flying.
Amazing. And so you've got your own in-salon academy.
Yeah.
So everyone comes to you to train.
Yeah, or we do offer in-salon training as well. It depends on what they prefer.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And in terms of marketing the courses. How have you found? Has that been mainly word of mouth? Have you done ads? Is it social media?
Not done any ads at all. Basically, all social media.
And they just keep coming through.
Yeah, I mean, I am trying to learn a little bit more about marketing and branching past social media. But when your audience is on Instagram, why would you not just focus it on Instagram? All my audience is on Instagram, so I have started to lean into TikTok a little bit, but I feel like TikTok just is a minefield for me. I feel like I'm a bit old for TikTok.
I think I always say this. I think there's a big divide where like everyone over the age of 30 seems to know very little about TikTok, and then all these teenagers and stuff absolutely love it.
My niece knows more about TikTok than me, and she's 12. Like, she might need to teach me a few things about TikTok.
Well, we can all learn a thing. But before we make you out to know nothing about digital and online, you've obviously got good knowledge of it as well, because you did transition your coursing into online courses as well.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I am the least techie person. Well, when I started building this online training, I was the least techie person. I couldn't even attach a file to an email when I started building this online platform. So I don't really know how I managed to do it. Now I'm embedding videos and codes and all sorts of stuff. Like, I've learned a lot in the past year about online education, but I wanted to bridge the gap between in-person training and the salon floor, because there's a lot of things that you don't learn in an in-person training course that you need to know. And it is like cutting skills, experience, knowledge. Watching somebody do a transformation on someone's head is a lot different than learning it on a doll's head. So there was a big opportunity to like fill that gap and more so help people, because the most of my students that are online have done a course and they have not had support, and they've also not had all of this knowledge that we provide online. So I thought, right, this needs to be a thing. It was more so built for my students themselves, but then I thought this could actually grow legs, and now it's available worldwide.
So people who haven't trained with you can access those resources.
Yeah.
So with your online training model, is that pre-recorded videos where they take the lessons, or is it live? How do you work that together?
So we have an 8-week extension course built in. That's like the solid module that covers everything that they need to know. So whether they need to refresh their day course, because imagine you go to a day course and you have all this information thrown at you, then you haven't got any way to rewatch it. So that was one of the things that I wanted to put on there, so they can rewatch anything that they've learned. And then there's a huge cutting section on there, just tutorials, but I wanted to keep it real life and raw. So it's all me in the salon filming my own clients, so they can see a real life salon world and not just, the polished.
The glamour, yeah. And I think what you said there about you knew nothing about tech, yet you still had the balls, for want of a better word, to go out there and do it. Do you think, have you seen a lot of girls put off doing tech stuff by maybe not having that knowledge? Like you said, you didn't go to university and do a computer degree or anything. You were in a salon. Yeah. Was it nerve-wracking at first?
Oh my God, well scary. Yeah. Well scary. I had so many meltdowns. Like, I was like, I cannot do this. I'm not doing this. But then I just reminded myself, it's actually going to help so many people. Just keep doing it. And now that it's launched and it's live and people are using it, and I can see how well people are doing, it's like, it's the best feeling, and I think, it's so worth it. Even if I wanted to smash my laptop up, I'd still carry on doing it. It's definitely worth it.
And I guess it also gives people who maybe don't have the financial resources to come and do the in-person training.
Yeah, exactly.
The opportunity to upskill in some areas without the outlay. Yeah,
so we've actually built it as the first subscription style education platform. So normally when you do an online training, you have to fork out like 500, 600 quid more, and then you need to buy your kit, and then obviously that's all in one go. So we've designed it so that younger people and maybe more people that haven't got as much money about them can just come on there, and it's a monthly payment. So they come on and they learn to however much they need, and then they leave.
And could someone genuinely learn how to do hair extensions just from watching the videos?
Yeah. My videos, yeah.
might have a new side hustle then. Yeah. Be doing a bit of that. Okay, perfect. And if you look back to traditional hairdressers, you were only ever trained in actually cutting hair, colouring, the aspects of it. What advice do you train the guys on running businesses, building their own brand, that kind of thing as well?
Yeah, I try to. I mean, I try to sort of a lot of my encouragement to the girls that I speak to and teach, because in the online training, we offer Zoom calls monthly with every student. So I personally sit down with them and chat through what they want to do. And I try to push them to just always be working towards something, no matter how small or big it is. If you've always got a goal to work towards, you'll always be growing. So I do it myself. I'm big on like goal setting. I'll set myself a target for 3 months and I get it every time, because you've set that goal. You've got something to work towards. So always just say to the girls, no matter what it is, just aim for something a little bit higher than you, and then you're constantly growing them.
Yeah, it's that idea. If you dream big,
yeah,
keep watching other people and do that. And for girls starting out today that see what you've done, that want to build either a salon or even their own business doing that, what are your sort of key piece of advice for them of building not just a short-term success, but that long-term success?
I think just social media.
Yeah, social media.
Be consistent. Speak to people that know more about things than you do. Like when I was starting, obviously, the online stuff and I didn't have a clue what I was doing, I tried to really speak to clients. Like imagine how many clients you see day to day. Instead of talking about what you did at the weekend, I try and get a piece of information out of every client that I see, whether it be something that's useful to me or something that's useful to one of my friends. Speak to a lot of people, read a lot of books, go online. Like there's so many resources to us now that you can chat GPT it.
Chat GPT everything.
How do you make an online training platform? Yeah. No, I'm joking. Just reach out and just try and knowledge yourself on something. If you want to do something, there's always a resource for it. You can learn it, like 100%. And
that's something that really interests me about hairdressers, right? Is just how important, like you said there, you talk to the clients. I'd be terrible at it. I couldn't talk to anyone for that long. But you've got women in your chair doing hair extensions. If they're having hair extension in the colour, they could be with you for what? Hours, right? That's a lot of talking to people.
Yeah.
You part-time hairdresser, therapist.
Oh my God, yeah.
Just how important to client retention is that actual personal networking? I guess some people would even go to a shit hairdresser if they've got good chat.
100%. Personality is key. You have to build that relationship with your clients. Building clientele will always come down to the relationship you've got with your clients. If you have a good personality and you're shit at hairdressing, you'll still do well, because they'll come to you for who you are. Not that I have got a good personality and shit at hairdressing. I'm just saying, if you do, then that would be it.
Exactly. I mean, it is crazy just how much time they're with you. It always blows my mind.
Some of the stories I've heard, like it was awkward. Sometimes you'll hear about.
Are you going to drop us a bombshell story here?
No, well, I used to cut men's hair back in Manchester, so I'd have women and men clients, and I had a couple in, and I used to have the woman in telling me she wanted to divorce her husband, and then the husband coming in asking me questions about his wife, like, what should I do? You know, she's not really happy. I'm like in the middle of this like relationship, and I'm thinking, oh my Jesus God, get me out of this.
And people can joke about it, but that is such a key component to being a good hairdresser, is actually having the skills to which people want to talk, which don't want to talk, which want to go deep into their personal life, which people don't want to talk to you about that.
But we've lost magazines now since COVID. No, we don't have magazines anymore. Salons used to always have a magazine. So if you was tired, you could be like, do you want a magazine? Yeah. And then just read their magazine, whereas now we don't have that.
Heat and Now magazine must be struggling. They were good then as well. So looking at that social media again, obviously you've done it very well. You're educating students on how to do it very well. What is the time where, well, I guess the question is, what is the biggest mistakes you see hairdressers make on social media where you go, wouldn't have been putting that up there?
I mean, I've done it. Do you know one thing that I keep seeing a lot lately, and I've done it myself, is social media managers. Like, there's a huge influx now of social media managers that are sort of quitting in on people that don't know how to do social media. Now, when I first started my online training, I actually hired a social media manager because I wasn't a very salesy person, and it needed to be sold. So I spent all this money on this social media manager, even though I know how to do my social media well. She came in for a month, ran it, and I didn't get one sale off of it. And that was not her fault. It was just because my audience has been built organically through me. Now, if you are someone that is struggling with your social media, what I would say is just learn about it yourself, be true to who you are, and don't be swayed to get a social media manager in and pay all this money for it, because you don't need to. You can learn it yourself without paying someone to do it, basically.
Yeah, I guess as a hairdresser or hair extension, anything in that industry, all you actually need is you've got your models there all day long anyway.
Yeah.
All you need is your phone.
You need your iPhone and your client, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I think just learn about it. Just learn how to make eye-catchy videos. Don't try and be copying everybody else. If someone's doing this, don't copy everybody what they're doing. Just stay in your lane, stay true to who you are, and it just shows then better through your social media. It looks more organic.
So at the minute, you manage all aspects of your social media yourself?
Yeah.
Everything. And how much sort of time on a weekly basis are you putting into that?
I mean, I'll be on my phone a lot. Like, my screen time is way too high. Yeah. It's a good job I don't work on a laptop and I have clients, because I'd be bug-eyed by now, like I would. Yeah. But it's important, and I'm on DMs, I'm on emails, I'm on social media content, I'm taking the content, I'm editing it for the app. But when you love something and you're passionate about it, you make the time.
And you think the key to your success and growth on socials has just been staying authentic to yourself? Authentic
to yourself, consistent, and sharing value. You have to be sharing value now with your audiences, because people now go on social media to learn stuff. If you're just showing a before and after, people will be bored. You need to be sharing tips with your clients on how to look after their hair, tips on styling. If you want to go into education, do tips on extensions. Like, share value with your audience, and then you build trust, and then they will then come to you for whatever service you're offering. It's all about building trust.
Yeah, we always say on social media, their content's either got to entertain people, inspire them, or educate them.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it doesn't do one of them three things,
exactly. Have you been on my social media course?
No,
that's
I haven't.
The 3 points I say.
Oh, is it? I actually think it's EIEIO, but I forgot the final O, so I just cut it short. Maybe we got that one off ChatGPT then. But no, it is massively important. I think this is something that's really drilled home on this podcast. Is we had a massive guy from America on, 500,000-600,000 followers, all fitness stuff, and he was saying he had literally all his content was recorded genuinely him, his phone, and a tripod.
Literally, yeah.
His audience loved it. He started monetizing his courses massively. He goes, right, film crew, backdrops, everything, and his actual interaction fell down because people were so used to his raw, real
that's funny, isn't it?
Yeah,
got to keep it real.
You got to keep it real. People want that. And do you get periods where, because obviously it is frustrating for people, I think girls starting out in particular in that industry, you plug away, you keep trying, nothing happens.
It's honestly, it is long-winded. Like, at the beginning you're like, I've got 50 followers and whatever, but I always say to my girls, if you've got 50 followers, I'd rather have 50 followers that are going to come in for their hair done, or 1,500 followers that are not. So don't worry about your following. That will come in time. Focus on building trust and building your business rather than the following.
Yeah. And even if you get, this is a story for you, even if you get no likes, right? I hate LinkedIn. Don't get the point of it. Refuse to do anything of it. The team were having a go at me saying, you've got to do more on it. Put this post up on LinkedIn, right? It got 3 likes. I was like, this is fucking embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing, this, right? One of the 3 people that liked it
was your mum.
Which probably, I don't think my mum's on LinkedIn, it would have been. But of the 3 people that did like it, one of them ended up being a massive deal.
Oh, perfect.
And it just goes to show you it's not quantity, it's quality.
It's quality, 1,000,000%.
So you mentioned before, personal growth, goal setting, continuous learning. It's obviously something you talk about on your Instagram.
Yeah.
Something you told me is very important to you. What part does that play in your life?
What am I learning now? What am I going towards?
In terms of, like, I guess, what you're learning towards, but also just to get to where you have, how sort of disciplined with your goals have you had to be? Because you said, your brothers went to university, there was pressure on you. You've obviously kind of been the black sheep of the family to begin with, so you've had to forge your own path.
I think because of the stigma around the industry when I was younger, I feel like that's probably why I've been like, do you know what? I'm going to show you. Yeah. And just flew with it, because I thought, no, I'm going to prove people wrong. Like, this industry is good, and I know it's good, and you can do well, especially if you've got a brain about you.
And do you think that, like, underlyingly, whether you realised it or not, made you work harder?
I think so.
And made you want to achieve more because you felt you always wanted to stick your middle finger up to everyone.
I always wanted to prove a point. Yeah. And to be fair, they have turned around to me, mum and dad, and been like, you know what, you were right. Yeah. You've smashed it. So yeah, I think sometimes a little bit of criticism and a bit of, like, putting you down at the beginning isn't a bad thing, because it pushes you further in the right direction.
Yeah. And if we go back to your first job, obviously you lost your first job for coming in piss/hungover on a Saturday. Obviously, to get to where you are, those habits and mindsets have undoubtedly changed.
Yeah.
What have been like the main habits and mindset behind building the business? Because like you've mentioned, the consistency.
Yeah. I'm a bit of a, like outside of work and obviously app life and everything, I'm quite, how would I say it? I'm into my fitness routine, meditation, like all that kind of stuff. I'm quite spiritual, I'd say. Yeah. So I think having that work-life balance, consistency of having work, but then also looking after yourself, self-care, not going out every single weekend. If you want to get somewhere, you can't be partying all the time because it'll spill through your week and you'll just not get anywhere. Yeah. I'm not saying don't go out, but if you have a goal in mind, you need to prioritize what is going to get you towards that goal.
Oh, it's my number one argument with Dubai. I always say those people that you see 3-4 nights a week on West Beach, buying bottles, doing this.
Not going to get anywhere.
None of them are achieving anything.
No.
Because the bottom line is, I don't care who you are, you cannot turn up at 100%.
Nah.
If you're out till 2-3 in the morning. You've got to take sacrifices. You've got to push back. I guess when you were going through the process of launching an online course and that, there was a lot of time sacrifices you had to make.
Yeah, million. I mean, I was working all night, every night. I'd go to work, be fully booked all day, and then I'd work on the app at night. Then I'd be filming content during the day, but editing it, posting it, sharing everything. It was a lot of work. Like I didn't realize how much work it was going to be, but it took me a year to build that online education because I wanted it to be perfect. And we update it monthly now. So every month there's new lessons on there. We've just done a goal setting section for January. Now we're doing like a business building section. So it's always growing. So we've always constantly thinking of new ideas and filming more stuff. So it's a constant thing. It's not just built and that's it. Because it's a subscription, you have to give people new things every month. Otherwise, they'll leave. So we keep it up to date every month to keep them in there. And
these subscription businesses, they're brilliant, aren't they?
Oh, they're huge.
So once you get someone in there, as long as you keep, like you said, keep doing interesting content.
Yeah. You
keep them in there and you get the same money every month in life.
Yeah, and it just keeps growing. I mean, the model of it was obviously around like, the model of it was around a fitness app. So I was the first person that they worked with to build it into something different, into like a hair education platform. The company that I built it with had never done anything other than fitness. So it was different for them and it was different for me. But I honestly thought people will go in, subscribe for a month and leave. And every single person that's joined is still in there now.
What's your monthly price point on that?
£129 per month.
£129 a month? So it's not a small subscription,
we have
is it?
£129 a month for all of the education, and then the social media is £39 a month. Yeah. So that it's social media if you already know how to do extensions, it's the full thing if you need the extension. But I think it's because I give such good support. So I do the Zoom calls, they message me anytime, I speak to them, but I want to support them because that's what I'm passionate about. And I think that's why they stay in there for the support. And
so now you're working in the salon doing the hair, you're training people, you then Beauty Works brand, and you're doing the online courses as well. That's a hell of a lot of things to juggle at one time.
It's a lot.
How do you do them all? Do you like set specific time for each thing? Have you allotted, or are you just kind of running around trying to do it all?
I don't know. I don't know how I do it all. I don't know. I'd never watch TV. That's for sure. Everyone's like, have you watched Love Island this year? I'm like, nope, absolutely not. Not seen Traitors, not seen nothing. I don't know. I'm up early, do everything for myself in the morning, go to work, do my job in autopilot. In between doing clients, I'll edit my content. When I get home, I work on the app. And then after I've worked on the app, I do Zoom calls at night. So I'm working from like 9 in the morning till 10 p.m. at night.
Yeah. It's a good working day, that one.
Yeah.
And without getting too deep here, obviously, when we met today, we said, we're both from Manchester. I said, whereabouts are you from? You said, the rough part.
Yeah.
You're now in a position where you're in Dubai, you're the Beauty Works trainer for the Middle East. You mix in a world of glitz, glamour, putting yourself out on socials. Do you ever find there's a point where there is self-doubt or imposter syndrome creeping in?
Yeah. I've had it a lot lately, to be fair, with the online stuff. I was like, I don't know. And even coming doing this podcast, I was like, I feel like a little bit out of my depth. I don't feel like an entrepreneur, but looking at everything that I do, I actually am. Like, sometimes I think, have I actually got a business? Like, yeah, I do. But I think I don't ever see it like that, which I don't really know why.
I think it's interesting with these it's an unbelievable position where over the last few years, girls have started making really fantastic money in industries that you didn't believe were maybe as big before. But also they've managed to start building fantastic businesses which don't require big teams.
Yeah. I mean, I am the only team member.
Exactly. And I think that's where the people get confused because you believe internally that because it's just you, it's not a business.
Yeah.
Well, it is still a business.
Yeah.
You know, it might not be an international company with loads of staff, but Christ almighty, for anyone watching, if you can run a business, like the key to a great business is the less staff you can have. Like it's everyone's biggest headache. So I think that's where a lot of people get that imposter syndrome from. That if you had 5, 6, 7 staff, if it was all in a salon, it would feel more like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is true, to be fair. I didn't look at it like that before.
Yeah, but I think that's where it kind of stems from. So you mentioned there, you're putting in long days, you're mixing up across multiple avenues. Obviously, you've made good money. What motivates you now? Why do you keep doing it? Why do you keep pushing forward? Why don't you go down to Drift Beach and have a few hours in the sun?
I'd love to. It's, you know what, for me, it's just seeing other people do well now. I just want to help other people do well. And now that I'm sort of seeing it, do you know when you just get like something inside you that just feels like a pure joy when you see someone doing well? That for me is the reason why. And when I get stressed and when I sort of want to smash my laptop up, I think of the people that are doing well, and I think, no, that is the reason why I'm doing it, to help other people.
Yeah. And if you could go back to yourself now, when you first started out, what would be the one piece of advice you wish someone had given you back then?
Oh, God. One piece of advice: don't listen to anybody that tells you hairdressing is a bad industry to be in, because it definitely is not.
Yeah, and just keep pushing forward with it.
Yeah, keep learning, keep growing. As soon as you stop learning, you will stop growing. So just keep on learning, and then you'll just keep on growing.
Okay, perfect. And this is one more for the ladies listening rather than the men. So a few men might want to switch off at this point. But just where is the hair extension industry going now? Because I know, I'm going to show off my knowledge here, guys. Over the last few years, we've had tape, nano rings, micro rings.
He has been on the online learning.
I know stuff about hair extensions, but I mean, there's been, because if we go back 10 years ago, right, maybe 15, people were petrified of hair extensions. There was that whole thing, they're going to ruin your hair.
Well, they were doing. We was gluing them in with like this glue that smelled like fish. I don't know if people remember it, but it was fishy glue. It was like stuck right down on your head. You'd be ripping out in the bath. There'd be like clumps of hair coming out of it. It was terrible.
There were people genuinely ruining their hair.
Terrible.
Like you were seeing models, your hair falling out. Now, obviously, you got like those little bonds and tapes and stuff. It's all a bit different.
Yeah.
What is happening now in the hair extension world? Will it stay as it is, or are there going to be new techniques, new things coming out?
I think now it's kind of moving towards faster services. People want speed and efficiency, and there's a lot more sustainability coming in now. So Beautyworks actually have just launched a new scheme where they are recycling hair extensions to make wigs for children who've lost their hair through cancer and stuff like that. So it's being a bit more sustainable, giving back to people, giving back to the planet and that kind of stuff, which is nice.
And are more ethical considerations coming into hair extensions? Because I know at the start, I guess people weren't too worried where the hair came from as long as it looked good. We now live in a world that gets, more and more open to these things. Are people is that a question you see more people asking?
A lot of people actually are deep diving into a bit more about where the hair actually does come from. Now, I don't personally want to touch too much on it, but I always think, where do all these extensions actually come from? Surely not everybody's donating this. Surely there's a machine making this hair that's turn it into like real hair. Because not everybody can be cutting their hair off. Think of how many people in the world wear extensions. Billions. Where is it actually coming from?
There's a lot of people shaving their head. Maybe we shouldn't get into that one on the show, or we might be doing a panorama expose that we could really avoid doing. Okay, so been absolutely amazing chatting to you today. Great to see your journey. Great to see someone who's not in a traditional industry doing well. I think it's a great idea for people out there as well to show that you don't necessarily need 20 staff, 30 staff, massive overhead costs. Yeah. You can come from Oldham and you can make it happen. To wrap it up today, what's your vision? I know you like mood boards, that kind of thing. Yeah. What's the vision for the next 10 years?
I just want to grow my online business, help more people. I actually have said this year that I want to be able to travel and get paid for the holiday. And by that means, I want to go to Australia and teach, but going there, we'll teach him, we'll pay for the holiday in Australia. I want to go to Europe and do it. So I'm kind of trying to move around a little bit more and like spread my wings.
Perfect. Well, I wish you the best of luck with that.
Thank you so much.
It's been great having you here today. You brought loads of energy to the podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Let
much.
everyone know where they can find you on Instagram, where they can check out your work.
So Instagram is at SJK Hair, and then all the training is on skacademyonline.com.
Perfect. So be sure to check Sammy out, guys. I'm sure she can help you with any education, tips, everything you need. Thank you for watching this episode. We've got some fantastic guests coming up over the next few weeks. So remember to subscribe to see all of our content. Look forward to seeing you again next week. And until then, keep raising the bar.